control is the means to survival.
I am a legend of the future, Shepard. The evolution of all organic life. This is our destiny.
But you have to choose. Wake up.
Shepard.
Welcome to episode 2 of Choose Wisely, a thematic exposition into the process of indoctrination as presented in the Mass Effect game series by BioWare. In episode 1, we covered the first 3 symptoms of indoctrination as noted by the in-game codex. In this month's episode, we pick up where we left off, examining alien voices in the mind, and delve deeper into the creation of deep cover agents. From there, we will move on to another of the more subtle symptoms of indoctrination, which is strangely absent from the codex entry: shared memories.
Yeah. That's why I was asked. And it's why they asked you.
Eden Prime. This is where it all began. Where the Prothean beacon gave you the vision that warned us about the Reapers.
Being that this is our very first experience as Commander Shepard, it might be easy to assume that there wouldn't be any clues hidden here. But aside from the obvious, there may be quite a bit more cause and effect taking place on Eden Prime than we are initially inclined to believe. During the trek to the spaceport to meet up with Nihilus, Shepard may optionally come across 2 of the scientists that had been working on the excavation of the Prothean beacon. Dr. Warren and Dr. Manuel are holed up in one of the sheds at the edge of the dig site camp. At first, Manuel seems to have been overly affected by the attack on the colony and is suffering what appears to be a mental and emotional breakdown.
What's wrong with your assistant?
Manuel has a brilliant mind, but he's always been a bit unstable. Genius and madness are 2 sides of the same coin.
However, if we take a few moments to examine Manuel's dialogue, it becomes possible to conclude that he may have activated the beacon himself and saw the Prothean vision.
Is it madness to see the future? To see the destruction rushing towards us? To understand there is no escape? No hope? No. I am not mad. I'm the only sane one left. No one is saved. The age of humanity is ended. Soon, only ruin and corpses will remain.
At this early point in the story, we have no context or reason to suspect that there is any profound meaning behind these ramblings of a madman.
The shed while the Geths swarmed over the camp.
Agents of the destroyers, bringers of darkness, heralds of our extinction.
Say goodnight, Manuel.
I cannot silence the truth. My voice must be heard.
Oh my God! What did you do?
Hostiles neutralized!
The fact that this scene can be missed entirely would also seem to encourage players to perceive it as unimportant. After Shepard disables the bombs and dispatches the Geth at the spaceport, they too get caught in the beacon's grip and receive a partial vision. The beacon has apparently sustained damage since its discovery, perhaps simply by being used. Once activated again by an unwilling Shepard, it is destroyed. When Shepard wakes 16 hours later in the medbay aboard the Normandy, subtle whispers can be heard as they try to recall what they saw before they blacked out.
I saw... I'm not sure what I saw. Death, destruction... Nothing's really clear.
I better add
This occurrence of whispering voices could easily be perceived as dramatic effect, a way to express or highlight the confused imagery or indecipherability of the information contained within the beacon. However, we later receive additional context for the presence of audible whispering when encountering Mano Savant, the indoctrinated Solarian on Vermeer.
Never any questions from these bastards. Just whispers and poking and cutting. I just need to get out of here and away from that incessant whispering. They've piped it in for days now. I need to get out. Just whispers and poking and cutting. Experience. No chance. Let me out!
If these whispers are simply a result of the Prothean beacon vision, why didn't we hear them again after coming in contact with the beacon on Vermeer, or when receiving the Prothean cipher from Shiala on Pharos? The truth is that the only context we ever receive in regards to whispering is that it stems from the effects of indoctrination. This context is provided primarily in Mass Effect 2, which is strange considering that with only one exception, audible whispering is only presented directly to the player in Mass Effect 1 and 3. On both the Derelict Reaper and the asteroid from Arrival, logs strongly implicate whispering as a symptom of the indoctrination process. The Codex delineates this symptom as alien voices in the mind. At no time in the games are we given any context that would suggest that audible whispering be associated with anything else. So, do we literally leap to a conclusion based on a single instance that whispers are also a byproduct of beacon visions? Or was this experience after Eden Prime the result of something else?
That depends on you. I can sense fear in you, anxiety and distress. The Reapers are winning.
What do you mean, you sense?
I sense you're the lineage of a leader, a warrior's skill and cunning. They are strong in your genes. But you've grown tired of war. You're exhausted by defeat, and now you worry you don't have the courage left to go on.
By the goddess!
All life provides clues for those who can read them. It is in your cells, your DNA. Experience is a biological marker.
There is a universal energy.
It should be noted that another minor example of voices in the mind takes place in Mass Effect 2 on the Purgatory prison ship during Jack's recruitment mission.
As this is a high-security vessel, you need to relinquish your weapons before we proceed.
I'll relinquish one bullet. Where do you want it? I'm not surrendering my gun. Period.
After making it clear Shepard and Squad won't be touring the facility unarmed, they come across 3 prisoners, 2 of which we can directly interact with. The first seems to be there for some easy Paragon Renegade point acquisition, the second an exchange regarding Jack, but the third, who simply responds to interaction with auto-dialogue, at first seems to bear no relevance to the game at all.
I hear the screaming in my head. It's nice, yeah.
However, with the process of indoctrination and accompanying symptoms in mind, perhaps he is the most relevant of all.
Ultimately, the Reaper gains the ability to use the victim's body to amplify its signals, manifesting as alien voices in the mind.
It soon becomes clear based on Warden Carroll's behavior that some entity is willing to part with a large sum of money in order to capture Shepard. That much we can determine from the main narrative. If we dig deeper and venture outside the main narrative for information, we find that the Collectors possess a mysterious motivation to acquire Shepard dead or alive. They also have more than enough resources to tempt almost anyone into taking risks or even betraying their own morals. The end result is that the collectors possess the means of persuasion to have someone go up against Shepard, despite the rather infamous reputation the commander has developed throughout the Terminus systems.
Things explode around you, Shepard.
Enrod Shepard.
Commander Shepard. He uncovered Saren's plan, defeated the Geth army, and died in the final days of the fight.
Shepard's alive? How the hell?
Victory through nuclear fire.
You're not as subtle as you think, Shepard.
People are usually more concerned about who I am.
Your death was downplayed, but hardly what I call a secret. I had to make sure it was really you. You could have been anyone, anything. But Shepard, they'll follow him. He's a hero, a bloody icon. So, what can I do for you?
Shepard's ruinous resume strikes fear and awe into anyone that knows of it. Shepard's mere presence is enough to cause even Arya, who is one of the most powerful individuals in the Terminus systems, to display visible signs that she is wary around Shepard. Yet despite all this, Kuril risks his already prosperous operation in this unwise capture attempt.
My apologies, Shepard. You're more valuable as a prisoner than a customer.
Go to hell. I'll send you there myself.
This is not even the first time in Mass Effect 2 that someone has made this questionable and fatal mistake.
It's taken nearly 2 years, but we did it. Commander Shepard is alive.
Wake up, Commander. Wilson betrayed us all.
Wilson was one of my best agents.
I had a feeling Wilson was just looking for a chance to shoot me in the back.
Like Kuril, Wilson also seems to break character by doing this. He risks and loses everything. What motivation or influence could be powerful enough to cause such a drastic reversal in purpose? Considering all the available context, the collectors would be the only ones that seem both willing and capable of impelling Kuril and Wilson to make these fatal attempts. There seems to be a lot happening behind the scenes here. If we continue to look deeper, perhaps we can uncover additional details on this hidden manipulation, and how it may alter our perception of the events that take place in the spotlight of the story.
Should a Reaper subvert a well-placed political or military leader, the resulting chaos can bring down nations.
During the introduction to the Choose Wisely series in Episode 1, we touched on the implications of how slow indoctrination can create deep cover agents. Despite the Codex entry on this cause and effect, we don't actually see much in the way of proof. Saren may have acted as an agent for the Reapers for some time, outside the scrutiny of the Council. But when Shepard gets involved, subtlety is discarded in favor of a direct attack on the Citadel. His potential as a deep cover agent seems to have been largely ruined by Shepard's intervention.
Time for discretion, Commander. Saren's greatest weapon was secrecy. Exposed, he is no longer a threat. This is over.
It isn't until Mass Effect 3 that there is potential to see what happens if a deep cover or sleeper agent goes unchecked. One occurrence hinges on a decision we make regarding Ranith and Optis on Virmire. If Rana is allowed to live, it is said in an ANN news alert that she eventually kills several high-ranking Asari military officials. According to this report, prior to her suicide, she spoke of voices in her head which foretold the ascension of the Asari, and that anyone fighting the Reapers needed to die.
When it's silent, when there's no one else around, I can hear it. Whispers in the back of my mind. I can't tell what they're saying. I spoke to Dr. Kenson about it and she seemed to understand. What the hell is going on?
Now let's stop for a moment and think about how this might tie in with the previous segment on alien voices in the mind. If we consider the available context provided by the story and its lore, we are left with unsettling implications regarding occurrences presented to Shepard and the player, but that are not expounded upon by the narrative itself. If we assume that the whispers from the Mass Effect 3 dreams are not being heard by Shepard from an audible source, then that leaves us with two options. Either something is causing Shepard to hear them inside their own mind, or BioWare is presenting them directly to the player. This is the second of the 3 dreams in Mass Effect 3, and it contains the most prominent of the whispers and/or alien voices. After which, Shepard wakes up sitting in the lounge chair by the coffee table holding a blank datapad rather than lying in their bed. That leaves us to wonder if it was a daydream or a narcoleptic episode. In both of these scenarios, what we see and hear in the second dream can then legitimately be considered a hallucination, since hallucinations are strongly associated with both narcolepsy and intense daydreaming. So if Rana's fate is in part the result of voices in her head, what might that mean for Shepard?
Sorry doesn't help your victims.
Getting back to examples of deep cover agents, Rana is an uncertain variable. She could be dead. Thus, this deep cover agent example of indoctrination could be reduced to a sample size of 1, Saren.
Citadel security turned up no evidence to support your charge of treason.
However, we do have another opportunity to see this scenario play out on the Citadel. Zamandis, a Hanar diplomat, speaks of the Reapers uplifting the Hanar species as their chosen sapiens. He makes an attempt at subverting the defenses of his own homeworld. We eventually get a sense that the elusive man is traveling down an eerily similar path. His stated goal transitions from saving humanity from the Reapers to bringing humanity to the apex of evolution.
My goal is to save humanity from the Reapers at any cost.
Harness their very essence to bring humanity to the apex of evolution.
If we retrace the history of Cerberus, we start off with what seems to be a rogue branch of the Alliance military running a variety of immoral experiments in an attempt to create an army of disposable shock troops. Throughout these Cerberus-centric missions in Mass Effect 1, it becomes quite apparent that the organization is willing to go to any lengths to attain its goals, including using humans as part of its test subject pool and killing anyone who gets in the way of their agenda.
My men wouldn't just stumble into a thresher nest, not the entire unit.
Very early in Mass Effect 3, we see the culmination of those previous attempts at subverting science manifest themselves in the form of partially huskified Cerberus forces. However, as we get further into the Mass Effect 3 story, the elusive man seems to have abandoned the Cerberus any means, any cost approach for a single doctrine: control. He comes across genuinely convinced that not only must he evolve humanity, but that the only way to do so is through control of Reaper technology, Reaper forces, and eventually Reapers themselves.
Shepard, this is Admiral Goku. I found out who set that trap for my men. The ones killed by the Thresher Moor. Damn, I hope you get this message. It was a group called Cerberus. An Alliance Black Ops organization. Top secret, highest level security clearance. They vanished a few months ago. Dropped right off the grid. Nobody knew where they went or what they were up to.
They're part of some organization, Cerberus, that runs secret tests like this. They treated me like a lab animal.
They've gone completely rogue, Shepard. They're conducting illegal genetic experiments trying to create some kind of super soldier. I don't have any proof, but I found the coordinates for one of their research worlds.
Looks like Cerberus has other bases on this world, Shepard.
They're completely out of control. Somebody needs to stop them. Cerberus is after me now. I need to disappear before they find me.
Cerberus isn't as evil as you believe. You and I are on the same side. We just have different methods. Regardless of your opinion of Cerberus, of me, you are a valuable asset to all of humanity.
I'm going to destroy the Collectors, to stop their attacks on humanity.
Understood. I just wanted you to know I appreciate the risk you're taking. Be careful, Shepard.
Shared memories are an observed symptom of indoctrination and are presented to the player through narrative and exposition 3 times prior to Mass Effect 3. Despite the symptom being presented multiple times, however, there is no record of it in the Codex. In Mass Effect 1, the Thorian on Pharos infected the colony of Zhu's Hope with spores, which allowed it to take control of their minds through some form of telepathy. If Shiala is allowed to live, there is an opportunity to connect with her again in Mass Effect 2. During this exchange, Shiala alludes to the fact that some of the colonists exhibited shared sensations when in close proximity to one another.
What kind of health problems did the colonists have?
Headaches or muscle spasms, similar to what they experienced while under Thorian control. Sometimes, the colonists near another former Thorian victim shared sensations like heat or pain.
Further into Mass Effect 2, 2 log entries found on the derelict Reaper reveal shared memories and a growing collective consciousness among the scientists.
You're married? You never mentioned that. Katie's my wife. I must have told you this story. No, I know my wife. That's what I remember too. What the hell is this? How can we remember the same thing? If I close my eyes, I can feel him. I can feel every one of us.
The first log with this symptom shows blatant shared memories, while the second log entry and the Zhu's Hope colonists express the development of a shared or collective consciousness, or so we are led to believe based on the events of Mass Effect 3. The Thorian is said to be telepathic, but there is no mention of any telepathic connection amongst the colonists at all in Mass Effect 1. Clarity of the Thorian spores creating a linked consciousness is not implied until Mass Effect 2, but only through Shiala if she was allowed to live. Even so, this connection between the colonists is not substantial and is far from the definition of shared memories until Mass Effect 3. In Shiala's email, she expresses the belief that she is actually indoctrinated due to extended exposure to Sovereign, but that the mental connection she shares with the other colonists seems to prevent the Reaper voices from influencing her. She also states that they fight with one mind, sharing skills and training through their link. As the player, we are once again faced with a symptom which we would normally assume the narrative would call out to us. In most games and stories, there typically is a dramatic reveal for this sort of thing as part of the primary narrative. But, just from the themes we've covered in this series so far, it seems safe to say that BioWare has other plans. So perhaps we should examine appropriate scenarios where this might be taking place without being noticed.
James, this is Garrus Vicarian. He helped me stop the Collectors. He's a hell of a soldier.
Lieutenant, good to see you too, Liara.
Where's the Krogan and
But the Krogan have never forgiven us for the Genophage.
I fought with the Krogan. They're tough sons of bitches.
According to BioWare, James Vega was introduced as a way to seamlessly guide new players into the franchise, educating them on the events of Mass Effect 1 and 2 via in-game dialogue. This kind of recap is common in games that lean heavily on storytelling. Assuming that this is his primary purpose, it may be easy for veterans of the story to write off the majority of his dialogue. As the player, his knowledge or ignorance on past events, as well as his opinions on current events, would either be accepted or dismissed on principle. If something seemed out of place, we'd likely chalk it up to oversight, filler, or even a glitch. However, trying to ignore inconsistencies can be disconcerting for the players while trying to immerse ourselves in the story. Unless we take these events to have some kind of hidden meaning, it is rather immersion-breaking for James to be making constant remarks about things he should not know about. It is also suspiciously odd that James is given the responsibility of delivering some very key dialogue early in the game.
It's not right. It looks pretty, calm and peaceful. But it's not right. It's all just an illusion.
It was peaceful. Once.
But was it? Really? I mean, when push comes to shove, they're just gonna turtle up. Hope it don't hit them too, right? They'd rather believe in this than face the truth.
I can hardly believe it myself. Like everything back on Earth was some kind of nightmare.
Yeah. That's what I hate most. It's like this place wants you to forget that.
He is also the main focus of a comic and an upcoming animated feature film. Why not give these responsibilities to the Vermeer survivor, Liara, Garrus, or one of the many Mass Effect 2 squad mates with whom we are already emotionally engaged? It would appear that BioWare is missing out on opportunities to give us more time with the characters we have already bonded with. Or perhaps James Vega is more important to the plot than we might think. During the mission to Grissom Academy, Shepard and squad meet up with Kaylee Sanders at the security office. As the cutscene plays, Shepard motions the team out into the hall to watch for more Cerberus forces. Shepard and Sanders are alone during this interactive conversation, so even if James is on the team, he would not hear this chat between Shepard and Sanders. The optional topics we can discuss with Sanders are of a personal nature, so it stands to reason that this part of the conversation would not make it into any mission report. However, even if you don't select the dialogue option, James will comment on Andersen and Sanders if you talk to him in the cargo bay on the Normandy. If Shepard does not talk to Kaylee about Andersen, the option to talk to Andersen about Kaylee still presents itself the very next time he is available on the QEC. Even ignoring this opportunity, there is also a personal letter from Kaylee to Andersen on Liara's spy terminal in the XO quarters. One way or another, Shepard is aware of this relationship, and apparently, so is James.
So, Andersen and Sanders. That's quite a couple.
Anything to do with the Turian platoon or bomb missions is likely to be highly classified and secret. In any case, it is highly unlikely that the events of these missions would be subject for random banter on the Normandy. If James goes on the missions, general comments about Tuchanka are reasonable, but if not, there is little chance he would have anything worth saying about them. In fact, none of the squad members have direct contact or dialogue with Tarquin beyond standing in his presence. James will comment not just on Tuchanka wildlife, but also on Tarquin Victus, regardless of whether or not he sets foot on the planet. The problem with this is since Tarquin never visits the ship, there is no opportunity for Vega to form an opinion on him at all, let alone like him. Once again, if we take these events at face value from a storytelling perspective, it would seem that James is actually channeling Shepard's own thoughts. We can somewhat safely assume that James is being exposed to indoctrination signals due to his random comments on hearing a hum. Considering that, it makes sense that if there were to be any first-person manifestations of the shared memory symptom, it would end up being with Vega. But are these really the only instances of shared memories, or just the ones that are easiest to detect?
Somebody somewhere managed to track me down and forward an N7 commendation. It's dated the same day the Reapers attacked Earth. We're out on patrol checking on some strange readings, and the collectors hit. But they hit the colony first. By the time we got back, most of the colonists had been subdued or abducted. I had no choice. I killed them and destroyed the collector ship. Yeah. Did you know that before you joined the N7?
Yeah. That's why I was asked. And it's why they asked you.
Parts of Tuchanka reminded me of the desert back home. The lizards and worms are bigger, but, you know, the sand and everything. Primarch's son is in over his head, no? Too bad about Tarquin. I was starting to like him. I don't know the scientific measurement of a shitload, but that seemed like a shitload of harvesters. That asteroid facility was messed up. 10 years of your life, just gone. That Jack is a mean SOB.
We fight, or we die.
It's clear we all fight together, or die.
Where'd you come up with this theory? I thought there wasn't any evidence.
I have been working on
this for 50 years. I have tracked down every scrap and shred of evidence. Eventually, subtle patterns start to emerge. Patterns that hint at the truth. It is difficult to explain to someone else. I cannot point to one specific thing to prove my case.
Accept this. You will remain here as a servant of our needs. The harvest will continue. The Reapers perceive you as a threat. And I must understand why. There is no war. There is only the harvest. Your memories give voice to our words.
It's not right. It's all just an illusion.
In this way, our survival was kept secret from the Reapers. Today, we reach out through the fragments and watch for discovery.
Fragments? You mean the artifacts we found?
They provide a window into the galaxy. Over the cycles, the Thrall races will control. Your mind will be mine. Your mind belongs to me.
This nightmare never ends.
The hell it won't. We get to this artifact and we can all wake up.
50,000 years later.
Will it ever end? I started digging the wrong way. I was in complete darkness.
Release me and we have a chance to end this, once and for all.
But you are different. It is clear why the Reapers perceive you as a threat. You have reached the darkness.
In the darkest hour, there is always a way out. What do you know about the Crucible?
We have watched its construction before. It has never been completed.
They'd rather believe in this than face the truth.